Okay, let's close the eyes for a moment. Remembering God and the Masters. Remembering sage Patanjali. Om Sahanavavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May God protect us all. May God nourish us with wisdom. May we meditate and pray together. May there be no discord among us. May there be more love and peace within and everywhere. Om. Amen. I bow to one formless God. I humbly bow to all the saints and sages of all times and places. I bow to sage Patanjali and I bow to lineage of Kriya Yoga masters. I humbly bow to living presence of God in each one of you. Good evening and welcome to our series of lecture on philosophy of yoga. In our previous class, we discussed the 4 sutras from the first book, Samadhipada, where Sage Patanjali has explained about what is yoga. And we discussed that yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the annihilation or cessation of all the thought patterns. And how to do that? Once we control the thought waves, then the seer is established in his own form, real form, tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. And other times when we are not in meditative state, then we identify ourselves with the thought patterns, vritti sarupya itaratra. Now, how many types of vrittis are there? So Sage Patanjali is going to explain in the next verse, next sutra, and that sutra is about the thought patterns. There are 5 types of thoughts. So Sage Patanjali is telling, Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam vritti swarupe tratra. Now, the 5th sutra, Sage Patanjali is explaining there are 5 types of vrittis or thought patterns. So these thought waves or vrittis may be of 5 categories: vrattayah, panchatayah, klishta, aklishta. Some of these are klishta, means painful, and some thought patterns are painful. So only these 2 categories, whatever thought patterns we are going through, we can categorize into these 2. Either they are painful thoughts or they are not painful thoughts. And how do we define it? So it is said, Vishaya akarena, chittasya parinamah vrattayah. Any thought is a word and it has a form, and it can be expressed in form. So when we talk about the thought, for example, a thought of apple comes to mind. So apple is a word and apple is a name, and also apple is a form. So every thought has a name and form. So these 2 painful and not painful thoughts come in turn. There is no constant pain. Within the pain, there is a moment of forgetting pain also. So that which is painful should be avoided, and that which is not painful should be accepted. We don't know the cause of affliction, but ultimately we have to be free from both kinds of thoughts. If a person wants to clean his dirty hands, he needs soap and water. Soap is also another type of dirt. So what we do, that first we clean the hands with inferior dirt, with the superior dirt, and then we get rid of inferior dirt also. So one becomes free from painful thoughts, and then non-painful thoughts can be avoided. So we can stop both, but step-by-step process is necessary, as the thought waves cannot be controlled all at once. So this is the process. First we get rid of the painful thought, then non-painful thought, and we become completely free from thought, so that we can be established in our real form, Swarupa Avasthanam. Our activities in daily life and behavior is affected by our thoughts, and each thought is changing us completely. Suppose a thought of anger comes to mind. So it completely transforms our entire system into anger, and so on. So how to get rid of these thoughts? Suppose we want to get rid of painful and then non-painful thoughts. So it says that first we go to the state of meditation. So few things we need to know, that how to be free from clister or painful thoughts. We should remember that no thought is permanent. Then each thought has an impact on our inner and external life. Positive, God-conscious thoughts make us divine. Negative, sensuous thoughts make us demonic. Thoughts can be avoided through constant inner awareness. Also, there is no need to try to fight with darkness and ignorance, because by going to the source of light, darkness will automatically disappear. So during meditation also, when thoughts come, just watch. Don't fight with them, but try to go to the higher state of awareness, and thoughts will disappear. Always maintain a cheerful divine mood in the face of adversity, because no situation will remain permanent. There's a saying, this too shall pass away. Practice your meditation regularly. This will help you to be inwardly strong. Then follow the guidelines given by your divine teacher, the scriptures, and the pure consciousness. Each thought is the reflection of your inner state. Each thought is the test of your inner strength also. So, Vishaya Akarena, whatever is the subject, the thought patterns, they are transformed into that. Now, when Sage Patanjali is telling Vrittaya Panchataya, there are 5 types of thought patterns. So now what are these 5 thoughts or 5 kinds of thought patterns or vrittis? So next sutra, Sage Patanjali is telling about these 5 types of vrittis. They are known as, it is a sutra number 6. Pramana, Viparyaya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smratayaha. So what are these 5? Pramana means right knowledge. Viparyaya means wrong knowledge. Vikalpa means imagination or verbal delusion. Nidra means sleep, and Smriti is the memory. So these are the 5 types of vrittis, 5 types of thought patterns which we experience in our day-to-day life. And further, if you want to go into detail that what are these 5 different types of vrittis, so from sutra number 7 to 11, the definition is given. The first vritti is pramana. So pramana means, as we discussed, pramana means right knowledge. So there are 3 modes by which we get the knowledge. So Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agama, Pramanani. Direct perception, inference, and scriptural injunctions are collectively called pramana, means path of knowledge. When we say right knowledge, so through these three sources, we get the knowledge. So what is that? It can be direct perception, it can be inference, or scriptural injunctions. Then second vritti, which is called viparyaya, wrong knowledge. What is viparyaya? Wrong knowledge is the false knowledge. Viparyo mithya jnanam atadrupa pratishtham. It is false knowledge which is not based upon the true knowledge of the object. So true knowledge can be directly perceived or we get it from the scripture, but the wrong knowledge is from any other source which may not be based on true knowledge. So that is viparyaya. Then third is vikalpa. Third vritti is vikalpa. Shabda jnana anupati vastu shunyah vikalpah. When words do not correspond to reality, verbal delusion arises. So this is called imagination or verbal delusion. That is vikalpa. Then fourth vritti here it is called nidra. Nidra means sleep. So abhava pratyaya alambana vritti nidra. Sleep is the wave of thought corresponding to nothingness. Then fifth vritti is known as smriti. Smriti is anubhuta vishaya asampramoshah smriti. When experienced objects or thoughts are not forgotten and they come back to life or mind, it is called memory. Through the sense organs, we experience many things in this external world. And when these thoughts of the objects which we have enjoyed through the senses are not forgotten and they come back to our mind, so that is called smriti or memory. So these are the five vrittis. Now, these five vrittis, they are constantly keeping us or our mind busy. When we say about the knowledge, right knowledge, so right knowledge, as we discussed, that there are three means of knowledge. One is called pratyaksha, paroksha, and aparoksha. So knowledge can be gained by one of these three modes. So again, what are these three modes? We can say they are pratyaksha, paroksha, and aparoksha. So pratyaksha means direct perception. Prati aksha, aksha means eyes, means we have seen in our own eyes. That means that we have experienced directly. That is called pratyaksha, direct perception. Paroksha means indirect knowledge. That means from some other source. We have not experienced by ourselves, but we have heard from somebody else or someone else has seen it, and then we are getting the knowledge from the second hand knowledge, you can say. That is paroksha. And third mode of knowledge is called aparoksha. A means not, paroksha. Aparoksha is the beyond senses or other information. So pratyaksha, our own experience, that suppose we go to a place and we see there is heavy rain. So we see in our own eyes, that is pratyaksha. Paroksha, you can say that someone telling us that there was heavy rain and we get this knowledge that there was a heavy rain in this particular place. But aparoksha knowledge is not dependent on the senses or any external information. Aparoksha is beyond senses. So aparoksha knowledge is the real knowledge which we experience in the meditative state. It's not dependent on the external sources or sense organs. Now, most important aspect after discussing these vrittis, we discussed these five vrittis and will not go into detail because our purpose is to get rid of these vrittis. So now the question comes that how to get rid of these vrittis? As Sage Patanjali has told, that we have to practice. We have to meditate to go beyond these. And how to meditate? So then he is telling about The next sutra, which he is telling about the practice and detachment. So if we want to be established in our real form, Swarupa, and for that we can achieve only once we get rid of the vrittis. But how, what is the way? So now the practice part comes into place. So in the sutra number 12, says Patanjali is telling Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tat Nirodha. So there are two words he is using, Abhyasa and Vairagya. So Abhyasa means constant practice and Vairagya means detachment or non-attachment. So Abhyasa Vairagyabhyam Tat Nirodha. When says Patanjali is telling that Yoga Chittavritti Nirodha. So what is that yoga now? He is explaining that yoga. And what is that yoga? It is consisting of these two words, Abhyasa and Vairagya. Tat Nirodha. How do we get rid of the thought patterns? So Chitta Vritti Nirodha comes through these two practices, Abhyasa and Vairagya. So through constant practice and detachment, thought waves or vrittis are controlled. Very similar verse you will find in Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna asked this question to Lord Krishna. He asked that my mind is so restless, it is like holding air in my fist. How can I control my mind? So Lord is telling that no doubt mind is very restless, but by the practice of these two, Abhyasa and Vairagya, you can regulate your mind. So Abhyasa and Vairagya. Again, when Lord is telling here, the verse is Asanshayam Mahabaho Manodirnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyancha Grihate. It is in Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, verse number 35. What Lord is telling here? Lord is again suggesting these two, Abhyasa and Vairagya. As such Patanjali is telling. So Arjuna, no doubt mind is restless and very difficult to control, but it can be regulated by constant practice and detachment towards the fruit of action. So here detachment is not detachment with the action, but it is the detachment towards the fruit of action, the result of action. Well, this is the most important sutra for a practitioner because it is also part of Kriya Yoga, Abhyas and Vairagya. So we will give more emphasis on this sutra. Abhyasa is not like practice. Abhyas means repeated practice. It's not for 1 day, 2 day, or maybe 1 month, but it is constant practice. For example, we see that if we have a oil can and we just pour oil, so oil is dropping. So there's drop by drop, but it is continuation. There is no gap. So that is what is abhyasa. Without any gap, without any interruption, it should be repeated practice. And vairagya can be also translated as dispassion, detachment, or non-attachment. So through practice and detachment, these are the two very important words, we can completely control our thought patterns. So to understand this concept a little bit more into detail, let's see what is abhyasa, what is vairagya. So in short, abhyasa means repeated practice, vairagya means detachment. Now what should we practice and what should we get rid of? So from the Vedanta perspective, abhyasa means to be established in the experience of what we are. When we start our meditation, in the silent meditation, we go beyond thought, beyond mind, and we experience supreme state of bliss. Sat Chit Anand, that is Swarupa, that is our own form as a soul. So that experience we should be established there. What experience? That I am Sat Chit Ananda, I am bliss, I am consciousness, I am absolute truth. So this experience should be practiced. Constantly we have to remind that I am not body, but what should practice? I am the soul, I am Ananda, I am happiness, I am supreme bliss, I am pure consciousness. So this is repeatedly we have to practice, means remaining in that thought is the practice, not to forget. And how do we do that? With firm faith and loyalty, we should try to have Swarupa Darshan. So our practice or abhyasa should be combined with faith and loyalty. If there is no faith, there will always be element of doubt. And if doubt is there, that means we cannot proceed further. Sanshayatma vinashyati. So with firm faith, practice what you have learned from the teacher or master and try to have the Swarupa Darshana, means your own form. Try to see that, try to be established there. When we talk about the second part, which is called Vairagya, it is called detachment. So detach from what should we detach? That means to renounce what we are not. Just like Abhyasa means to be established, to be attached, to be remaining in that what we are. And Vairagya means to renounce what we are not. So what we are the soul, and the nature of soul is Satchidananda. So we should remain in soul consciousness. We are not mind. What we are not? We are not body, we are not mind, we are not intellect, we are not emotions. So renounce those which we are not. So I am not mind, body. So I should renounce that thought, but I should practice what I am. This is what is Vairagya and Abhyasa. How do we practice Vairagya or detach? Through understanding, we should get rid of the Upadhis. Upadhi means the titles. What are the titles? In Vedanta, we have studied that we are essentially soul. And soul is pure consciousness, soul is eternity, truth, and soul is supreme bliss. But we forget that and we have put some titles, or you can say coverings. What are the titles? Whenever we identify ourselves, we identify with the body. And body, which has a name and form. For example, when we say that we are American, we are Indian, we are European. So this is Indian, American, European. This is not our identity. This is just upadhi, title we have superimposed on soul. Similarly, I am Christian, I am Hindu, I am Buddha. This is also upadhi. Then I am doctor or engineer, I am male or female, I am this or that. So all these different objects or things which we identify with, these are called upadhis or superimposition. But we are not that. So we have to get rid of all those superimposed so-called titles. These are the upadhis. And that is what is detachment or vairagya. So in short, abhyasa and vairagya, both we have to practice. Abhyasa means what we are, remain in that thought. And vairagya means get detached, get rid of those thoughts which we are not. So this is the spiritual practice which says Patanjali is telling. These are the two aspects of Kriya Yoga, Abhyasa and Vairagya. Both are necessary. You know why? I'll tell you another aspect. In other way, we can explain, like Abhyasa means never give up. Abhyasa means never give up. You constantly try, practice every day. Never give up. And what is Vairagya? Always let go. So all positive qualities we should not give up. And all negative tendencies we should let go. That is Vairagya. And those who practice Kriya Yoga, so in terms of Kriya Yoga, where is this Abhyasa and Vairagya? Repeated practice. So practice of our Kriya Pranayam is called Abhyasa. Constantly we have to practice that. And Vairagya means detachment. So that is called our Paravastha. Because in Paravastha, We are detached from body, we are detached from thought, we are detached from mind and any external conditioning, even the time. So let go all these and you be established in your Swarupa. So these two go together. They're not separate. We have to practice them together. And I'll tell you a very interesting story about why they are necessary or practiced together. There were four friends. So this is a story of four friends. Sri Guruji has told it sometime. There were four friends. They went for a picnic by boat. Whole night they were rowing the boat, and before they left, they prepared for the journey, like whatever they needed, the carpet, some chairs, some food, everything they prepared, they loaded the boat, and then they started their journey in the evening. And whole night they were rowing the boat. But when there was dawn, this little sunrise was there. One of the friend, he said that this place looks like very similar to the place where we live. And the other friends, they also looked around. They said, yeah, it is very exactly same place. But how come? Then they figured out that whole night they were rowing the boat, but they forgot to untie the boat. The boat, they didn't untie the boat and they were started rowing, and whole night they were rowing the boat. So that's why they did not move even 1 inch. So this is a simple story. It tells that when we are talking about abhyas and vairagya. So what these friends did, they did abhyas. Abhyas means constant practice. Continuously they put their effort, no doubt, but they forgot to untie the boat. What does it mean? That when they did not untie the boat, all their efforts were there, but they did not get the result. Similarly, in our spiritual practice, we put lot of effort and then we say, oh, I think I'm not experiencing anything, or we don't get the desired result. Why don't we get the result? The simple reason that we are following only one aspect, that is abhyasa. No doubt we put our best effort. Regularly we are practicing. Every single day we are meditating, but problem is that we are not practicing the other aspect, which is vairagya. Vairagya means non-attachment. So we have to practice both. It is exactly what we are doing. This is the mistake we commit, that meditation is like cleansing the house. So when we are cleaning the house and all the dust and dirt we are throwing in front of our house, and the same dust, it comes back to our house. On one hand we are cleaning, and on the other hand we are also collecting the same garbage. So we have to be careful from both sides. Otherwise we don't get the result. So abhyasa must be repeated practice. Regular practice is necessary, but at the same time we have to say no to negative thoughts. We have to let go things which are holding us back. So if we are not detached, again, detachment is not to be detached from the family. It is not to be detached from our relations, not to be detached from all things which are necessary for our life. You don't need to run away from your duties. Here, detachment means be detached from what is false. As we discussed, that I'm not body, I'm not mind, I'm not emotions. But when we are identifying and entertaining these thoughts, then we are not detached. Remember, detachment, meditation does not burn your world. Meditation burn the attachment to the world. And very often we have seen this mistake people do, that they think that meditation takes them away from the world. No, we have to remain in the world. Meditation destroys the attachment to the world. But remaining in the world, we have to be there. However, so Abhyasa and Vairagya, they are like two wings of a bird. A bird cannot fly with one wing. So both are necessary. Be established in what you are and get rid of those what you are not. So Abhyasa and Vairagya. Never give up and always let go the things which are not conducive for our practice. As like we work easily with two hands. Likewise, spiritual evolution is possible without any fail by these two tools of Abhyasa and Vairagya. And through practice, we can grow up, and through non-attachment, we can maintain this growth. Very often it happens that we achieve some state through our meditation, through our spiritual practice, we achieve some state, but we are not able to maintain that because we are still attached to many things and they pull us down. So practice, constant practice, abhyasa helps us to grow, and that growth can be maintained by practicing detachment simultaneously. Now I'll tell you another interesting thing here about these vrittis, the five vrittis. We discussed these five vrittis are pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra and smriti. Right knowledge, wrong knowledge, imagination, sleep and memory. So these five vrittis, how they play in the mind field, these are the thought waves. So any of these five, they are constantly keeping us busy. So these thought waves in the mind field, they are always one after the other, like vritti means it's just like the waves. Now these vrittis, these five kinds of vrittis, we are trying to regulate with these two, abhyasa and vairagya, through practice and through dispassion. So abhyasa or practice helps us to develop discriminative wisdom. When we constantly practice our technique, our spiritual discipline, we are developed in our discriminative wisdom, which is called viveka. That means what is right, what is not right, what is permanent, what is impermanent. We get that better understanding. That is the discriminative wisdom. And vairagya helps us to block the flow of mind towards the world. All those worldly objects which are pulling us down and taking us away from our real form, we have to let them go. So vairagya helps us to bring the mind back to our real state. And these two together lead us to liberation or kaivalya. So both are necessary. When we practice them in moderation, in together, then only we get success in our spiritual life. Now, if you want to understand what is vairagya, what is abhyasa, literally we understood, but little bit more in depth. So in further sutras, Sage Patanjali is explaining about abhyasa. What is the definition of abhyasa? So in the sutra number 13, Sage Patanjali is telling that tatra sthitau yatnah abhyasah. Practice is the sincere effort to be established there. It's not just on and off practice, it is sincere effort. It's every single day we practice, and slowly every moment we try to practice. So sincere effort to be established there is known as abhyasa. And abhyasa, so remember that there are three states of our mind. We discussed before also that according to Sankhya philosophy, our mind is remaining in one of the three qualities, under the influence of three qualities: tamasic quality, rajasic quality, or sattvic quality. Tamasic quality means the quality of laziness, lethargic, or idle. Rajasic means the mind is more active, restless, or tense, or angry. Sattvic quality means calm and blissful, peace and balance. This is the sattvic state of mind. Mind always remains in one of these states more dominant. So one of these three qualities are dominant and other two are subordinate. And sometimes the mind is a mixture. Mind can be tamasic rajasic, mind can be tamasic sattvic type of mind. It's not that all the time you have only one quality is prevalent, but sometimes a mixture. However, sattvic rajasic is the best, because sattvic tamasic means people are sattvic but still they are lethargic. So sattvic rajasic is good, and finally it comes to total sattva or balance or peaceful state. What when Sage Patanjali is talking about the abhyasa, that it is constant practice. So the question comes to mind that how long one should practice? Is it for 2 years, 3 years, 10 years? How much time we have to spend for that? So some instructions about the abhyasa, Sage Patanjali is recommending here in Sutra number 14. What he is telling? He is saying that if you want to be established in the real state or a real form, which is Swarupa, then our practice should be constant. So few conditions are there for our spiritual practice. Satu dirghakala nairantarya satkara asevitah dradabhumihi. That practice becomes firmly grounded when it has been cultivated. So three conditions. Dirghakala. Dirghakala means for a long period of time. Now, Sage Patanjali is not giving a specific time period that this many years you will be established in your real form or you will get samadhi. He's not telling it. He's just giving the time for a long period of time. Now it depends on a particular person, individual being, that how many samskaras we have collected from many past lives, that depends. So that's why it's a long period of time. A long period can be 10 years, it can be 15 years, can be 15 lives. But in Kriya Yoga, there is guarantee of one lifetime. One can get rid of all these samskaras and be established in samadhi. However, so three conditions for practice. Dirghakala, practice should be for a long period of time. Second is Nairantarya, continuous practice. As we discussed, that our practice should not be on and off. Now, it's not the question of just weekly meditation. It's not the question of only once in a while. Now it is continuous, means every single day you have to practice. So that is real practice if you want to achieve the result. Third word is Satkara Asevita. Satkara Asevita means with sincere devotion. If you practice meditation every day, but it is mechanical practice, then also will not get the desired result. So it should be with devotion. What is the devotion? That I learned it from my teacher, from my master. Ultimately, this is the practice I have received from God. I am practicing with love so that my master or God will be happy. So with devotion, with sincerity when we practice, then we get result. Then we get Dradabhumihi. Dradabhumi means, Drada means found, very firm. So firmly you are grounded in your practice when you follow these three conditions. Practice for a long period of time, practice continuously, practice with love and devotion. And another meaning here, Dradabhumihi. So in Yoga Vasishtha, there is description of 7 bhumis, Sapta Pranta Bhumi, 7 stages of Samadhi. So Dradabhumi here, when can you attain Samadhi? Through stages. By following these 3 conditions, practice for a long period of time, continuously with sincere devotion. Now let us ask ourselves, how is our practice? If we are practicing on and off, then the result will be delayed. If we are not practicing it also happens that sometimes we get initiated, we start a path, we practice for few months or weeks, and then we stop it for whatever reason. So that is not recommended. You have to practice for a long period of time. Otherwise, you have to restart. That means whatever progress you have achieved or attained, you have to again start from zero. And with sincere devotion, love, that is the most important element, which will come in further sutras also, that without love, our practice is mechanical practice, which will give only physical and mental, intellectual benefits. But the real benefit, which is a self-realization, it comes when we practice with love and devotion. So devotion, again, when you practice every day, then naturally devotion comes because our emotions are transformed into devotion. So this sutra gives us the answer to many of our questions when we ask why we are not able to achieve some state, why we are not getting the desired result. So maybe we are missing one of these. So practice Satu Dirgha Kala Nairantarya Satkar Asevita Dradbhumi. Now, Dirgha Kala, long period of time, there is no specific time. So just keep on practicing. And for that reason, we have to be very patient. Patience and perseverance. These are the two qualities of a sincere seeker. So these are the characteristics of our practice for a long period of time, continuous and with love and devotion. Few things Shri Guruji reminds us about this sutra, that occasional and casual practice will not bring results. In our life, we work for, we can say that we work part-time and we expect full-time salary. That means we put little effort, but we expect the result that we should be realized, we should be very happy. We have to put sincere effort. So occasional and casual practice is not going to help. We have to be regular. That's why practice regularly. Practice Kriya at least 2 times a day. As we promised at the time of initiation, if possible, we should practice it. How long? It's not said here that 30 minutes, 20 minutes, but regularity is more important. Then patience and perseverance are essential on a spiritual path. Practice without love and faith yields inferior results. And let your practice flow naturally. Here, patience and perseverance, I'll tell you, you might have heard this story from Sri Guruji many times, the monkey's mango garden. So in a village, there were a group of monkeys and every day they were enjoying different fruits. They come to village and as you know, the nature of monkeys, that monkeys, they eat less, but they destroy more. So all the monkeys, they were destroying fruits. And once the villagers, they decided these monkeys are destroying our garden. So let's have some guard there. So they kept a guard and the guard had an air gun. So whenever the monkeys were approaching the garden, the guard was shooting and monkeys were running away. So monkeys were slowly started dying of hunger and they were starving. So they decided that we have to find some solution. But they were not able to approach the garden. So finally they all had a meeting. And in the meeting, all the monkeys, they did some brainstorming. And they came to this conclusion that there is no other solution. We have to be independent. And for that, we have to grow our own mango grove. So what to do? So some monkey were appointed to bring some mango seeds. Then some were started tilling the land and then preparing the field. And they prepared nice garden. Then planting the mango seeds. And one monkey was in charge of guarding that garden. So the monkeys, every day they used to come and they were removing the soil and taking the seed out to see whether how much it has grown up, whether it has grown up or not. When will it become a sapling or sprout and sapling and then tree? So every day they were coming and checking it, taking the seed out. Can you imagine what would happen? So they were so impatient that every day they were checking every day and they could never get any mango from the garden. And exactly same thing many of us also do. We practice few days and then we want to check our own progress, how much I have progressed. And we start our own conclusion. We start our own analysis that I'm not progressing or I have already progressed. I have already achieved samadhi. Who are we? It's not none of our business actually to assess our own journey. Our duty is just to practice. We learn from teacher and teacher told to practice. We are just practicing. There is no need for doing this analysis. There is no need to check our own progress because that will lead us to frustration. How can we judge our own progress? Only our teacher can tell or our guru can tell what we are doing. So patience and perseverance, these two are very important aspect. Otherwise, we don't get the result. So let our practice also flow naturally. Means it should become a habit. As we practice every day, slowly it becomes a habit. It is said that if you want to develop a good habit, we have to we have to do same action at least 65 days. Then it becomes a habit. And once it becomes habit, then it's part of our life. And you see the result is different. Again, that we do not practice with some expectation of some particular result. That is unnecessary. We just practice to make our masters, God happy. And that should be the aim of our practice. So, Vairagya we understood. We understood the Abhyasa. What is Abhyasa? To remain established there, and how? Through three conditions: regular practice with love and devotion and for a long period of time. So just go on practicing. Result will definitely come. Now the next sutra tells about the Vairagya. What is Vairagya here? So Sage Patanjali is talking about Vairagya. The definition in sutra number 15: Drashta Anushravika Vishaya Mitrashnasya Vashikara Sangya Vairagyam. Vairagya or non-attachment is defined as the self-mastery or complete freedom from desire. So self-mastery is also known as freedom from desire. When we get complete freedom from desire, that is called Vairagya. What does it mean? Even we do not desire for heaven, we do not have desire for liberation because it is going to happen naturally. So we get rid of all the worldly desires first, and then we are just keeping one highest desire that I want to attain or experience self-realization. And that desire also dissolves at the end. Remember, it's not easy or it is impossible to be free from desires completely unless we achieve the state of realization. Before that, there will be some desire. But again, what type of desires are there or we should entertain? Desires are not bad. Because of desires, our life is continuously moving. If we are totally free from desire, how can we exist? We have to eat, we have to talk to people. We cannot remain in complete isolation. We cannot remain hungry. So desire for food will be there. We need some rest. So there will be desire for rest. And these are not bad because desires are never bad. But remember, desire should be transformed. Never think of desire to get rid of all the desire. It's not possible. But yes, transformation of desire is very much possible. First, we get rid of the worldly desires or those desires which are not helpful for our spiritual progress. So we have to get rid of those, means control those desires, transform them to highest desires. So good desires, and then slowly get rid of all the desires. And when we practice, slowly the mind is tuned in such a way that we think, oh, I don't need this thing. If I had two cars, I can do with one car. That means we start understanding and remaining in that situation where we don't need too much of things. That means we detach from those things which are not necessary, because mind is constantly telling us you need this, you need that. Mind is very restless, so we need this, need is fine, but slowly the needs becomes comfort and comforts becomes luxury, and the need transforms to luxury, so we think that that is our need. But truly speaking, to survive in this world, how much we need some food, we need some clothes, we need some shelter. These are the basic commodities. These are the needs to survive. After that, all are comfort and then slowly luxury. So when we focus more on practice, then slowly we start understanding what is really needed. And then we can transform our lower desires to higher desire, and then slowly we just keep one desire, that I just want only God, nothing else. And then things change. So desires are there, they are not bad. God has given us desires so that our life continues. So drashta anushravika vishaya vitrashnasya vashikara sangya. What is vairagya? Complete freedom from desire. Now there are few words: drashta, anushravika, vishaya. Let's talk more about the detachment. So vairagya or detachment, there are two types of vairagya. One is called apara vairagya, one is para vairagya. What is apara? A means not, para means supreme. So apara vairagya is relative or ordinary detachment. In day-to-day life also sometimes we feel detached, but that is relative. It's not absolute. Relative or ordinary detachment, you can say. So three things are there: drashta, anushravika, vishaya vetrashnasya. So I'll explain here. By realizing the possible demerits, disease, discomforts, and troubles associated with the object of enjoyment or attachment, that is one reason of apara vairagya or ordinary detachment. Suppose we look at someone who is suffering from some disease. So thought comes that, oh, this body, this life is full of suffering. So there is a sense of detachment. When we have some discomfort, also we think, what is the use of all these things? We see some demerits or troubles associated with object of enjoyment. For example, you like a sweet, particular sweet, let's say rasgulla, and we are attached to that. Most of us are attached, no doubt, with the taste. So we enjoy that. But when we eat too much of that, then we can vomit, or slowly it comes that I can't take anymore. And that detachment comes that, no, I don't need. But that is not real detachment. That is only ordinary detachment, temporary. Similarly, like we go to we hear, for example, we hear about death. Some near and dear person has died. So the sense of detachment comes. But again, how long it remains? Maybe few moments, maybe few minutes. So drashta anushravika. Then second is by seeing and experiencing the divinity in all. Sometimes we try to see as we practice Kriya. So try to see and experience divinity in all. So at that time also we get detachment. That there's nothing, it's all God. So I'm not attached to any taste, attached to any ordinary thing. But also it does not remain longer. Third mode is that by always keeping the mind focused on highest goal of life. So these are the three possible ways. By always keeping the mind focused on the highest goal of life also generates this apara vairagya. Again, remember these three help us in the initial stage. They are ordinary detachment. They are not absolute. but they are necessary. And what is paravairagya? Paravairagya means extraordinary or absolute detachment. So that is when one is truly established in the self. For example, when we are in the world with all our senses, so momentarily we get detachment, that is relative or ordinary. But when we are in paravastha, when we are in supreme state of our silent meditation, at that time we are totally detached. So that is the real detachment when we are truly established in the self, and that is paravairagya. So in our Kriya practice, as we use the chakras, so where is apara vairagya? You can say that from soul center below, below the soul center up to the bottom center. With all these chakras, because from throat center to bottom center is the world, and soul center and above to fontanel, this is our, we are beyond world, means that is the kingdom of God. So when apara vairagya happens from soul center to bottom center. And what is paravairagya? When we are in soul center and above up to fontanel in the cranium, that is paravairagya, supreme detachment. So apara you can say it is detachment from worldly objects. And paravairagya is actually, in the yogic language, it is the detachment from yogic siddhis. Supreme detachment is that even we are not desiring for any siddhi or any yogic power, because worldly detachment we can get slowly by practice, but still the mind wants to enjoy some yogic power. So paravairagya comes at the later stage when we don't want to use even any yogic power. So that is the real detachment. However, it is again step by step. We cannot go directly to paravairagya. So first we experience apara in the world, and then slowly we go to paravairagya. Shri Gurudev said that practice without detachment will not give realization. And so first step of relative non-attachment, which can be attained in the three possible ways we discussed, by realizing the possible demerits, disease, discomfort, and trouble associated with the object of enjoyment. So when we see any object of enjoyment, we try to understand that each object gives some merits, but also it has demerits. And objects leads to disease also. It can lead to discomfort. And Shri Gurudev said that 10% pleasure is always associated with 90% of pain. In any object of enjoyment, we get 10% pleasure, but 90% there is pain. And also by seeing and experiencing divinity in all, we can develop this apara vairagya. Suppose we see some very beautiful thing. So instead of beauty, see the beauty of God, then you'll not be attracted to that object. By always keeping the mind focused on highest goal of life will help us to be detached from the worldly or lower enjoyments. Now, to conclude today's talk, the next verse, next sutra, Sage Patanjali is explaining, it is the sutra number 16, Tat Param Purusha Khyate Guna Vetrashnamya. When through knowledge of the indwelling self, one is free from desires for any manifestation of nature, then that is the highest kind of detachment. Okay. When one is completely free from desire of any manifestation of nature. So that's what is said, that even when we don't desire for any yogic power or any spiritual experience, we don't want even, that is real paravairagya, or real detachment. So through knowledge of indwelling self, we become free from that desire of yogic siddhis also. That is the highest. So then being completely absorbed in the experience of the Supreme Self, one attains the state of freedom from desire of the qualities of nature. When one is established in Paravairagya, one lives a very independent and indifferent life. There is no touch of ego, no attraction or attachment to the world or any even spiritual experience here. Ordinarily, what happens that we are practicing, but we are so much attached with our spiritual experience and we want to repeat it. I saw beautiful light. I saw some, beautiful figure. I saw Lord Krishna. But again, that is not paravairagya. We have to go beyond that. It is good to have experience, but get detached from even that. So that is the highest detachment. However, as a sincere seeker, what we learn today, that in order to get rid of our thought patterns, we have to practice two things, abhyas and vairagya. Constantly practice what you have learned and be detached from what you are not. So all those thoughts which are not helpful, let them go and practice what is helpful. I am God, I am soul, remain in that thought. So abhyasa, as we discussed, it also in stages. Vairagya also, first worldly detachment from the worldly objects, and then slowly the highest detachment, even from the desire of liberation. It will come slowly. However, so this is Sesh Patanjali's teachings, and now in the next class, we'll go further about this vrittis and how to practice. So we'll focus more on practice part in the next class. I am praying to God that all become happy and healthy, loving, noble and generous. May there be no suffering, no sorrow. May there be more love, peace and harmony among us and in this entire creation. I bow to God, the Masters, in all of you.